Alright, second stream in the books here. I am going to try something new. Basically, we are going to be talking about Aperture in terms of photography today. My plan moving forward is to stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So I'm looking to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and then Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And what I'm looking to do is on Tuesdays, I am hoping to have these type of like educational streams that we're going to try out today, where the first one is discussing Aperture, which is what we'll be discussing today. I'm looking at putting together just a small lesson plan for shutter speed for next week. And then we will do the third of what I call the trifecta of camera settings, ISO, the week after that. Thanks for the lurk, Melon. Enjoy the rest of Tessa's story. I'm kind of sad I'm missing the end. So Tuesdays are going to be photo education. So again, this week Aperture, next week shutter speed, and then the third week we'll be looking at ISO. And then I'll come up with more lesson plans for after that. Trust me, I have a lot of ideas, but those are the three lined up for right now. And again, those are going to be on Tuesdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Thursdays, I am looking to kind of do like a travel discussion where like I'll choose a location to discuss on that Thursday. And then I can share pictures from my time at that location. So like it could be a national park, it could be a city, it could be a small town I've been to. It could just be like a local touristy spot. Like for example, like the Space Needle, it could just be about the Space Needle in Seattle. So basically just to focus on a very specific place and what my thoughts were on the place and what I recommend if you plan on visiting there. So kind of like a travel vlog on Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And then Fridays is going to be a co-working stream. I know I completely failed at the concept of co-working stream my first one because I just got so excited and just kept chatting with everybody here. But Friday's my plan because it's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. My plan is to do like an actual genuine co-working stream where you'll pretty much just see me working on my work laptop over here, and I'll glance at chat, like once in a while to interact and just, like help people feel comfortable working from home. So again, that calendar is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain, and then Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain. I believe the schedule is posted on my Twitch page if you would like to go confirm that. And just keep that in mind if you're interested in coming for those streams, which I hope you are. And I was really excited because, one, I was a productive adult yesterday and I literally did all of my laundry. Normally I might get like a load or two done, but yesterday I did all of my laundry and and usually whites just kind of get like bypassed on laundry days because I don't have a lot of white clothes. I remembered I have a branded shirt. So guess what I'll be wearing on streams moving forward? Branded shirt. Pretty excited about that. I can see Aspen is just... Oh, and Sequoia. Oh, yay, they're just creeping. Hi, Goonie. How are you? Laundry day yesterday. Oh no, work's been kicking your ass? I'm sorry. Why has it been kicking your ass? Hi, One Fire. How are you? Welcome on in. Thanks for coming. It's like I know you guys or something. Wow. But I'm sorry work's been kicking your ass. If you want to talk about it, go ahead. Perfect timing, just about to clock out. You can listen to me on your way home. Or you can listen to your stories. I know you like to listen to audiobooks. I don't know. Yeah, Goonie, laundry day. So I did all of my laundry like a productive adult and rediscovered I have a branded shirt. So found something to wear on stream. Feeling pretty proud of myself. Just busy, busy, busy. Lots going on, lots to do. I hear you. I had a big project I did earlier today, and I have what I call like my anxiety clock, where I think things are going to take me longer than necessary, like longer than they will. So like I started this project at like 12:30, and I'm like, oh my god, I hope I'm done in time for stream. I was done by 1:30, so I still had an hour and a half before stream. But that's how anxiety clock works. So, you know. Sounds like merch to me. You know what? One Fire, maybe. Maybe. I'd like to, I have these upcycled shirts that I've made, and I'd like to get rid of those first before I start any other kind of clothing merch. So if there's any kind of interest in upcycled shirts, I've been trying to think of a way to get them on the website for visibility's sake. I am planning on adding the framed prints I have left over, which are upcycled frame prints. So I plan on getting those on the website possibly tonight, actually. Anxiety clock is the only way I meet deadlines. Why do I feel that, like, to my core? Like, people are like, you're so productive. I'm like, yeah, because I panic about everything. It's fine. It's fine. That's life. But, so today, maybe I'll just be like the distraction in your ear while you finish working for the day and while One Fire drives home. So today I would like to talk about how Aperture works in terms of photography. Now, this is not by any means any relation to videography. It could be similar in videography. I have zero clue. Zero. So this is strictly in terms of photography, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And then after that, I figure we can walk through adding another product to the store and just kind of chat while we're going through that. I put together an overlay for photo education. Yay, I feel like such a teacher. All right. So I have on here a note that says Aperture main takeaways. Now, if you only can remember like 3 things from the stream, which these are like the 3 things you should remember, the bigger the aperture number, the smaller the aperture opening is. That's like the only time you'll get like a switcheroo in photography, is that a bigger aperture number means a smaller aperture opening. Oh, impressive. Thank you, Goody. And with that smaller opening, though, so the bigger aperture number, the wider the field of focus. And I'll go into this in more detail here in a minute. Also, the bigger the aperture number means you're going to have less light entering your lens, which means your pictures are going to be darker unless you adjust one of the other 2 of the trifecta settings. So the 3 trifecta settings I just referenced are aperture, which we are discussing today, shutter speed, which we are discussing next week on Tuesday, and then ISO, which we are discussing 2 weeks from now on Tuesday. So again, Tuesdays are going to be like, if you want to learn about stuffs, come see me. So on this little chart on the screen right now, you see like these little icons, you see these F numbers, you see these fractions, and you're like, Becca, what the heck is this? Don't worry about the fractions. Don't worry about the second row and the third row. Just look at the top row, the one with the little dude in front of the mountains and the circles and the F numbers, okay? So the circles are representing how open the aperture is at that aperture setting. So for example, at f1.4, and you can tell this is taken from like a European source because the decimals are commas, but anyway, at f1.4, the aperture is the most open. At f32, the aperture is the most closed. And this is just a general guideline. Every camera has different settings. If you use a manual lens, each manual lens will have different aperture ranges. But basically, the smaller the number, the more open it is. The bigger the number, the more closed it is. Seeing that diagram of open to closed, you might be like, yeah, it makes sense that the bigger aperture number has less light because it's more closed. And we'll get to that when I have examples of all of this. So with the field of focus, a bigger aperture number means a wider field of focus. So if you look at the icons above the circles of the man standing in front of the mountain, you'll see at the most open aperture, the only thing in focus is the stick figure. He looks like what the symbol is like on a public bathroom, like that kind of guy. So it's the bathroom guy. The bathroom guy is in focus, and the mountain is completely blurry. And then you can see that the mountain comes into more focus as the aperture closes, and then you look at f32, and both bathroom guy and mountain are in focus. So that's what I mean by bigger aperture number means wider field of focus. That means like things are clear in the picture. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, don't forget that there's the exclamation point question command that you can use to interrupt me. I won't be offended. Look at that, I got spammed. Whoa, guys. Whoa. Look at that. Would you look at that? That's amazing. Boo, bud, boo. Now 1 second. I was not on top of my game expecting bots today. So I was not in mod mode on my Greenwich account. That's funny. You made it. Yeah, second stream, man. I'm in. That's funny. Ban. I got to ban somebody, guys. I got to use my ban hammer. That's kind of exciting. I kind of needed that today. Boom. But to go back to what we were talking about, so if you don't understand what field of focus means, that just basically means the objects are clear. So if you have a narrower field of focus, that means less things in your picture are going to be clear. And then if you have a wider field of focus, more things in your picture are going to be clear. So to give you examples, because I'm a pro, I took my house plants and I lined them up in one of the bedrooms of my house on the floor with a measuring tape, put my camera on the floor with different aperture settings, and took pictures so that you guys could see examples of the field of focus changing and just in general what changing the aperture does to a picture. So we are going to start with f22, which is the most closed aperture that my Nikon Z7 can handle in these conditions. Okay. And if you heard that, I have like this little metal engraver. And it sounds super awkward if you don't know what it is, so I thought I would show that. Anyway, so f22. So here's a picture at f22. Now it's a little hard to see the writing on there, possibly, so I will just walk through what these are. So I put down what the controls were with these pictures and what the variables were with these pictures. I am taking you back to high school science right now, people. So the controls in this instance were the shutter speed, focal length, and flash. Okay? So I never changed the shutter speed of my pictures. So all of the pictures that we will be seeing here today for this Aperture lesson were taken at the shutter speed of 1/125th of a second. So that's what that fraction means, that the picture was taken at a 1/125th of a second. Typically, that is the setting that most people need to use when they're holding a camera with their hands and just taking pictures. Now, if you're really shaky or something, you're going to have to increase that shutter speed. Or if you're using a tripod or you're just like magic and can stand really, really still, you could use a slower shutter speed. But because I'm demonstrating how Aperture affects photos, I wanted to keep the shutter speed constant. So it is going to be 1/125th of a second for all of these images. The focal length, I kept at 18 millimeters, and I didn't use a flash, which you can tell by this picture that I didn't use a flash. Variables, so the ISO I did have to change. I did try to make it so that the only variable was an aperture, but the picture just got too dark, and then you couldn't tell what was going on. And then what's the point in the lesson if you can't tell what's going on? So I did have to adjust the ISO a bit. My mirrorless Z7 can automatically change ISO based on the settings of the camera, so I just let the camera do its thing. I didn't personally touch the ISO setting, the camera just did its thing. So the camera decided that for this image, the ISO was at 20,000. Okay, that's a really high ISO, by the way. And the aperture here, again, is set at what we call f22. It just think of 22, okay? It's the most closed aperture that my camera can do, the Z7, with the standard lens. So you can see here that there's a wide field of focus. You can see the 83, like the number 83 on the measuring tape, right in front of the lens is pretty well in focus. It's not like crystal clear. The 82 is clearer than the 83, but it's pretty clear. And then I know it looks a little fuzzy because of the ISO, which I'll explain in a second. But the lines of the plants in the back of the image are still clear. So this had the widest range of focus. So this comes in handy like when you're shooting outdoors and you want like a lot of depth to your picture, like a lot of detail to it. I would not recommend using a high aperture in portraits because you want the focus to be more so on the person. But when it comes, and animal portraits as well, like if you're shooting wildlife, like if I'm photographing an elk, then I want the focus to be on the elk, and I'll probably choose a more open aperture with a narrower field of focus to ensure that the elk is what the photograph's focus is on. But for like general landscape photos, a more closed aperture with a wider field of focus will probably be your friend. Now I mentioned like the fuzziness in the picture. So the ISO in this picture is set at 20,000. We'll get more into ISO in a couple of weeks. But that is what's causing this like grain that you're seeing in this picture, the noise. That's why it doesn't look like smooth and professional and etc. because the ISO is very high. I'm going to take a sip of water really quick. Okay. So then to go down what we call one f-stop, okay? So you see the numbers have the letter F in front of them. So if you're going down one f-stop, you're going down one setting in your aperture settings on your camera. So like to go from f22 to f16 on my camera is one f-stop. So the next picture here is f16. So we're going from f22, which is up right now, f16, f22, f16, f22, f16. Okay, I'm going to do a little jingle there. So you can see that the light is a little bit friendlier by just going down one f-stop. You can see that the grain is just a little bit better. I mean, more than a little bit. Between that, because we were able to let in more light. Okay? So again, in this f16 image, the shutter speed is 1/125th of a second. The focal length is 18 millimeters, and no flash was used. That's the same settings that we saw in the first picture. And then the variables, the ISO again was 25,600. So the ISO actually did go up, but we don't notice the grain so much because more light is coming in because the aperture is more open. Okay? Okay. Now you can see here that the 83 on the measuring tape is even more blurry than it was in the first image. And you can just see, like, in the background, like the third plant back there is slightly more blurry than it was with f22. And that's because we are getting a narrower field of focus as we move down an f-stop. I feel like I should pause for questions, but I'm just going to keep chugging because you guys can just exclamation point question me if you have a question, okay? So to go down another f-stop would mean my camera is going from f16 to f11. So we're going from this picture to this one. And you should see a decent change, even again with just this one f-stop from f16 to f11. Okay? Okay, I'm going to hide f16 now. I'm done flashing back and forth. So with f11, again, the field of focus gets narrower. We're opening up the aperture more because this number is going down, and we are letting in more light. Okay, so again, controls, the shutter speed is at 1/125th of a second, focal length 18 millimeters, no flash, so nothing has changed there. The variables, the ISO did go down to 14,400, which is why you see significant less noise or grain. Noise and grain are interchangeable terms. And then the aperture is at f11. And you'll see the 83, like none of the 83 on the measuring tape is in focus anymore. So I think the measuring tape is probably like the biggest winner in these images in terms of defining field of focus. But you can see that like the cactus is in focus because it's in that middle of the field of focus, okay? Then to go to f8, let me unveil that one, is to go down another f-stop. And again, like you notice a big difference in just one f-stop. So I just want to be clear that photography is sensitive. I know like that's kind of funny sounding, but you don't need to change a lot of settings to get a big difference in a picture. If you know how to control your aperture, if you know how to control your shutter speed, if you know how to control your ISO, those are the trifecta. Once you know how to do those three things, you're a pro. Okay? Like I'm just throwing that out there. Then you can shoot manual. You can manipulate your pictures in however which way you want to. It does take a lot of experimenting to like get it nailed down, so you can just be like, oh, the sun is up, these are my settings, or the sun's behind a cloud, these are my settings. But once you have these three things down, photography, it just opens up a whole new level for you. So looking at this f8, I'm going to flash f11 back up here really quick. So you can see the 83 is still readable, it's just slightly fuzzy. 82 is still pretty clear. Going down to just f8, which again is just one stop, one more like notch in opening the aperture. that field of focus just narrows down quite a bit. Now the 83 is pretty blurry. The 82 on the measuring tape is getting blurrier. But little cactus dude with the turtle planter is still in focus. The plant in the back is becoming more out of focus, along with the aloe vera plant hanging out back there. The ISO on this F8 image is 8,000. So again, the ISO did go down, which is normal because we're letting in more light. The more light you have, the less ISO you need. And then going to F5.6. Let's flash between these two. So again, you can see a good change here. Headphones were dying, but I think we're good now. Anyways, living for this film grain. Yes, I like grain. A lot of people think it's a symbol of like a bad photograph, but I think depending on the picture can give it character. It's giving me late 90s skateboarding magazine. Yes. So grain is like a term from film photography. If you learn photography as like a digital artist, you'll probably know it as noise. It's the same thing. It's caused by high ISO. So looking at this F5.6, I'm going to flash the F8 up here again really quick. You can see that the field of focus is becoming narrower as those numbers on the measuring tape become blurrier, and the plants in the back become blurrier. Like in between these two f-stops in particular, if you look at the white planter pot with the aloe vera in it, you can tell it's getting blurrier. Like you're losing the focus on it. All right, I'm going to leave F8 alone now. Film grain is cool as hell. I agree. Now, sometimes it can ruin an image, but a lot of times that can't be helped because if it's ruining an image, you're probably shooting in too dark of setting anyway, and didn't have the proper equipment for it. But I think film grain has a lot of character. I really do. So in this F5.6 image, again, you can see the narrower field of focus. The ISO dropped down again. This time it dropped down to 3,600, which is why you see less of that noise or grain in the image. And you're starting to get like more smooth colors, more clarity like in the field of focus. And that's because that ISO is going down as we open up the aperture more. Okay, so then the last one that I have, the most open aperture my camera could do, is f4. Okay, so here's f4. Let me bring up f6 5.6 again. 4 5.6 4 5.6. Okay, so with 4, you'll see that the field of focus has gotten even narrower. Now just my little happy cactus guy is in focus. And the ISO has dropped down to 1600, so you see minimal noise in this picture. Now I went stop by stop, but let's say like you took a picture and it was like super grainy and kind of dark like this first one. So your options there are to open up your aperture to allow more light into the image, or you can adjust shutter speed and ISO. Now I don't want to get too much into that because I don't want to confuse people if you're not familiar with photography stuff. So let's just talk about aperture today. But of the 3 settings, you can adjust one of those 3 to allow more light in. And to adjust your field of focus. Now, of those 3 settings, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, only aperture is going to adjust your field of focus. So if you're taking portraits and the tree in the background is in focus and the person or animal you're taking a picture of is in focus in the foreground, you're going to want to adjust aperture if you only want the person or animal in focus. Adjusting shutter speed and adjusting ISO will not help you in those instances. Okay. I do have a blog on Aperture on my website. So I'm going to do !store. Well, me as my, here we go, as my mod. !store. So if you click on that link and go to the blog, and then click on, I think it's called Photography Education, there is an article that I wrote on aperture settings. So if you need a reference after today to go back to, that is there for you as a resource. I'm also planning on downloading these streams and posting them as like a kind of vlog on my website. And I've thought about doing a YouTube channel as well, but I don't know. I'm not like a videographer, so I don't want to like edit videos. So I'm not sure about that one. But I hope the idea of aperture makes sense. If it wasn't making sense to you prior to today, I hope you have a better understanding of how that aperture works. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and chat. You can use that !question, or you can just put your question in chat. I would like to think I am paying good enough attention to keep up. Maybe. At least for now. But that's what I have for aperture today. So again, the 3 main takeaways you need to remember for aperture. Hi, Poppy. How are you today? Thanks for coming in. I was just going through aperture settings on photography, like camera photography today. You're doing good. That's good. That's good. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you coming by. So the 3 main aperture takeaways, again, for if you are needing to remember this information, is the bigger the aperture number, the smaller the opening. Again, that's the only time in photography that you'll get the switcheroo on there. You're going to be lurking to... Oh, thank you, Poppy. I appreciate that. Thank you for the lurk. I don't have a lurk command yet because I am a noob, but I will work on that. Note to self, make a lurk command. So again, bigger aperture number equals smaller opening. The bigger the aperture number equals a wider field of focus. So again, if we go from f22 to f4, you notice how much that field of focus changes. And then the bigger the aperture number, the less light. Okay? And probably the most important thing you need in photography is light. So that's my little cheat sheet for you, is that little note square. All right. Again, I hope if you have any questions that you reach out and you let me know. I hope, again, that was clear. But in case it wasn't, because, again, I've been doing photography professionally for 6 years, but I started taking photography seriously in 2010, so 13 years. So what makes sense to me as a person who has been handling cameras for a very long time might not make sense to a person that's new to it, and that's totally understandable. Please don't feel afraid to ask questions. There is a whisper. Let me put this in here. There is a whisper command. I just put it in the chat so you can see that. So if you are shy or just don't want to publicly ask your question, you can private message me, and then if you can please use the whisper command so that I know there's a private message waiting for me, that would be Gucci, because I have discovered that when you are streaming, it's very hard to tell when you have DMs. Very neato, excited to see the other installments to see how to compensate for aperture adjustments. Absolutely. Like I said, there's the trifecta, the aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Once you have those 3 things mastered, you can manipulate photographs to your own will. Like, I highly recommend for anybody interested in photography to learn how to shoot on manual settings. Because while automatic settings will be your friend in most instances, a lot of times when you shoot on automatic, it will up the ISO to a point that like the image is almost completely noise or grain, and you will lose like the subject of your image. But if you know how to manipulate aperture and shutter speed, then you don't necessarily need to up the ISO, and you can keep your image more crisp and more focused on what you are trying to get across in your image. But yeah, so I hope that was helpful. Even if you're not like looking to be a professional photographer or anything like that, I do think I think photography is fun. So I think these settings could help even if you just take pictures when you're like on a hike or on vacation or never. Like even if you never take pictures, if you see somebody hiking, you can be like, hey, I know how to adjust aperture. Don't do that. Don't do that. That might be weird. Let me see. I'm going to take another sip of water here. I don't have a water break thing, but that's definitely going to be something. Like if I get to 50 followers, I'm going to have a water break. Because guess who forgets to drink water? Not me. No. All right. Let me go to my sharing screen. So I knew that the Aperture discussion was going to only be part of today's stream because it's pretty straightforward. Oh look, it's a me on Twitch. Woohoo! So if I go here, we are going to add... Hello! Hi, Tessa! That worked! I always love it when I get to see if my gifts work. So yay! Hi, Tessa. Look at me, I'm turning red. Raid. I know that's probably like raid, but I'm gonna just raid. Tessa, raid. Woo! How was the end of your story, Tessa? I almost want you to just like spoil it for me because I'm sad I missed the end. If you don't, hold on. I can do it. You were so excited to raid me? Thank you. I appreciate it. I know how to do stuff. 1 second. Huh. Look at that. Shout out given to Tessa Jane 18. If you are not following her, please do. She reads these amazing fan fiction stories on her stream that she wrote herself. And she does a beautiful job narrating them. And then she also plays a lot of Mario games, like a lot of Mario Party, like on the old vintage systems. And it's really just a lot of fun to watch her stream. And she streams during the day, so if you need something to do while you are working, go watch Tessa. The Fish Boxers, I am still in the dark on the Fish Boxers, which I'm a little sad on. I know the Fish Boxers have to do with one of her stories, but I have not heard this story yet. So I am waiting for the day that I get to know the Fish Boxer story. It's true, the voices are amazing. Her voices are amazing. And she can also do a pretty incredible Peach impression. I'm just going to leave it there. Go to her stream and find out for yourself. Hashtag Fishboxers, hashtag When It Rains, which is the name of the story that the Fishboxers are from. And then hashtag Armor of Our Hearts. Is that one of the other stories? I know When It Rains is one of the stories. Is Armor of Our Hearts one of the other ones? And there's Tessa showing off her own emotes. Y'all are so cool. I personally like the little cheer one that's like, woohoo! And welcome on in, Vegito. Nice to see you too. So I walked through the aperture settings on a camera and how you can adjust the aperture settings to manipulate your photos. So next week we'll be discussing shutter speed on Tuesday, and then the week after that we'll be discussing ISO. And then once you know those 3 things, I call it the trifecta of photography, you will, like, seriously, the world of photography will just open up to you immensely. Oh yeah, I need your snooping skills to find her username on whatever fanfic site these are on. I'm on it. I just need to know. Yeah, okay. I need to know a couple titles. When It Rains, Armor of Our Hearts. Okay. I got you, Melon. I got you. I don't know why I have this set of skills, but I do. FBI agent, if you are there, hire me. Thanks. Because I have a special set of skills. I don't know the whole quote from the movie, but I know it starts with something like that. Maybe. FBI, please hire her. Thanks. Yeah, that's my resume. Just that. Alicia just messaged me. I'll tell you. You have a direct line, Alicia. There you go. That's funny. Vegeto's just going to reveal all. I see you, Vegeto. I see you. All right. Well, I'll go back to my photo education screen to just briefly go over. So, those who just came in, again, thank you for the raid, Tessa, that you know what's been discussed so far. So we basically just went through aperture settings. Let me get rid of that guy. So the aperture main takeaways, and this is one of the camera settings, again, one of the trifectas as I call it. Basically the 3, now I'm home, what I miss, one fire. A lot of photography stuff, a lot of knowledge stuff, a lot of stuff. I'm glad you made it home safely, though. Can't lose you, like the night before trivia, right? Glad you made it home safely. Dang. So again, we discussed aperture today, and the 3 main takeaways are the bigger the aperture number. So like if you're just like playing around on your camera and looking at settings, the bigger the aperture number, the smaller the opening. The bigger the aperture number, the wider the field of focus, and the bigger the aperture number, the less light going into the camera. And again, I have a blog post going through this aperture stuff on my website. So if you click on that link and then go to the blog and then go to photography education, the Aperture article is in there. So if you have any interest in learning more about it, you can read up on it there. Or again, I am planning on downloading this video and creating a type of vlog link on my website. And this will be available there in probably this weekend, because I would say the next few days, but I tend to do that to myself and then I procrastinate or stress out. So the weekend. We'll see the weekend. Okay? All right. All right. But just looking at this graphic, does anybody have any questions? If you do, please use !question to get my attention, or just put it in chat and I will see it there. But let's move on from the lesson today, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So going to my sharing screen. Da-da-da. Alright. So I know what you're looking at right now doesn't make any sense, because we're not going to start there. We are going to start here. Alright. We are going to add another picture to my photography website.
Excuse me, there's a question for you.
Excuse me, there's a question for you. Yes, Goonie. What is your question? That's so pretty. Thank you, Melon. This is a picture of a swan that I took at the Palace of the Fine Arts in San Francisco. Is that blurry man above half actually supposed to be Bigfoot? The blurry man above half. Are you talking about on the photo education screen? This guy? Like above the aperture? With like the little mountain? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, in the shutter speed section! Got it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was calling the guy in the aperture section the bathroom man because like it looks like the little dude that's on like the doors of like public restrooms. But yeah, I can totally see the shutter speed guy being Bigfoot. Yep, we caught him, guys. Good job. Sorry, I'm almost on like 30 seconds back. No problem, Goonie. No problem. FBI. Right? I found Bigfoot, guys. FBI, hire me. Hello. Alright. So I chose the swan photo to add to the website today because, guess what? It's a good example of Aperture. Look at me. Tying it all together. Like I know stuff. So what I mean by it's a good example of Aperture is in this picture, you obviously see the swan, I hope. I guess I shouldn't say obviously. What if you can't see? Sorry. If you can see the screen, there's a picture of a swan. Okay? And then, so the swan is in focus in the foreground of the image. And then the back... I'm pretty sure my streams are just going to be me making a fool of myself up in here. Steps. Alright. That announcing myself. That's insane. I appreciate you guys. So this picture of the swan shows that it was one fire with the little heart cat. Thanks. So the swan is in focus. So again, if we go back to photo education slide, boom, bigger aperture number means wider field of focus. Okay. So looking at this picture, since the swan is in focus and the background is blurry, that tells you that we used a smaller aperture, okay? Or a more open aperture. Again, that's the only thing that's like switcherooed on you in photography is the bigger the number, the smaller the opening in aperture, the smaller the number, the bigger the opening in aperture. So this one used a more open aperture or a smaller number, and you know that because the swan is in focus, but the background is not. Now I will say, yes, you can manipulate these photographs in Photoshop, like you can blur backgrounds, etc. But let me tell you, when you know how to do these things in camera, it saves you so much time in post-processing later on. So 10 out of 10, recommend learning the trifecta. So come back next week and the week after to learn about shutter speed and ISO. That's my little plug for myself, guys. Alright. So, looking at the picture of this swan, this is what we will be adding to the website today. And again, this picture was taken at the Palace of the Fine Arts, which is located in San Francisco, California, United States. In case you're not from the United States, then you're like, what is that? And I'm just pulling up because I have such a big ego. I'm pulling up my own streams so that I can keep up on chat, because once I'm in Photoshop, I can't see if anybody's chatting. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so the swan was taken at the Palace of the Fine Arts. I don't I do not recommend getting close to wildlife, okay? Anytime you see pictures like this where it looks like I was within feet of a wild animal, or any animal really, I will be perfectly honest with you guys. If I was like a dumbass and got really close to an animal, or if I was smart and used my telescopic lens. Now, I hate to break it to you guys, but I was a dumbass with this one. I was really close to this one. I had my standard 35 millimeter lens on my camera, and I just kept like, oh no, no. I know, Melon, I was dumb, and I do not approve of my own behavior in this instance. I don't get close to wild animals, people. Don't do it. Don't do it. I am lucky that this swan was chill that day and didn't decide to attack me. Okay? Swans are scary. Their beaks are huge. Yeah. So again, I am saying what I did was wrong. It was not right. Don't go close to the wildlife. Okay. Clear. I lucked out in this instance. This swan was so busy preening itself. And again, it's like in a touristy area. I'm sure that helped my situation. Again, I am not making excuses for it. I'm just explaining what like happened. Don't mess with the cobra chicken. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard a swan called a cobra chicken, but I love it. That's amazing. So with this swan, so what's funny is if I ever showed you guys like my raw files, I shoot in RAW. It's a setting on the camera. Like instead of shooting in JPEG, I shoot in RAW. If I ever were to show you like all of the pictures, like it's like almost like a stop motion video, at least like it used to be. Now I'm a lot better at like taking less pictures because I know more of what I'm looking for. But when I first started out, it was like click, 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 as I like approach things, because I wanted to make sure I got the shot and didn't mess it up. And apparently, my way of doing that was to just be trigger happy on the camera. Click, 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 click. So I know with this swan shot that like I started like probably like 30 feet away on like a sidewalk, and it was like click, 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 click. Walking towards the swan, click, 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 click. Crouched down like 10 feet away from the swan, like, you know, like I'm like in a catcher's position, like in baseball, and I'm like click, 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 click. And I'm like waddling towards this duck, holding my camera, towards this swan, holding my camera, just totally waddling towards it, like looking for signs of aggression, like I'm like some Animal Planet person that even knows what a sign of aggression from a swan is. I don't. But apparently I just thought I would naturally know. Animal Planet, if you're there, I'm a natural. But the swan was very relaxed, I guess, but you can tell in this picture. Look at his eye. Look at him. He's like, what are you doing? Crazy lady. But he let me get close, and I was able to get this shot. And it's one of my favorite photographs I have taken of a swan. I sound like I've taken like hundreds of photographs of swans. I haven't, but I've taken a few, and this is my favorite one. He's chilling. Yep, he's maxing, relaxing, all cool. I don't think he's shooting any b-ball outside of the school, though. I mean, I guess I shouldn't judge. He could be like a pro basketball player in the swan community. What do I know? But yeah, he just let me get... I mean, this is the closest I got. So, like, even with this shot, I was still probably like 5 feet away from him, which again, is way too close. Don't do this. Give wildlife space. I was a bad noodle. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. Just because it worked out in this one instance does not mean if I were to do this again with the same swan in the same location that I wouldn't get attacked. It's just not worth, it's not worth taking that chance. But enough about the photo. I am going to format this to be put on the website. So on my website, I sell my photographs as 8x10, 16x20, and 24x36 canvases. So I basically format this twice. I format it as an 8x10 and a 24x36. Rebecca, what about the 16x20? I know. The 8x10 and the 16x20 use the same aspect ratios, so I only need to format it once for the 8x10. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm going to throw it on my 8x10 PGW template. I'm going to duplicate the layer again. I'm going to throw it on my 24x36 PGW template. And then I'm going to go to those tabs. Okay? So the 8x10 PGW template, you can see the image is obviously too big. So we are going to resize it. And I said this last time I did this, and I was surprised at how many people had their minds blown. So just in case you don't know, if you're ever adjusting the size of an image in Photoshop and you just click and drag, like see how like I can mess with the proportions of the image? But if I just click Shift, it goes back to its true proportions. And no matter what I do with my mouse, it stays in that true proportion. So I'm going to size it so that it matches up as best as I can. Now there's a lot of image hanging off to the right of the crop here. Let me click enter so it saves this. The shift key is God tier in Photoshop. Amen. So the guides in this Photoshop, let me explain what they are really quick. So all the ones that are not middle ones, so not this one, but the 4 outer ones, those are guides as to where the canvas wraps. So those parts of the image will not be front facing, they'll be on the side of the canvas. And then the middle ones are just to help me make sure my image is centered as best as it can be on the template. So like if I wanted to play around with this, I could have it so like just like the face of the swan was in the middle. But then you see there's a lot of empty space over here. And while empty space can work, I want more of the swan. So I'm going to move it back over so the swan is filling up as much of the image as possible. Also, I think this is the most I've ever said swan in a short amount of time. And it's starting to sound like, you know, like when you write a word too many times or say a word too many times, it starts to seem like a fake word. I'm starting to feel like swan is a fake word. Swan. Yeah. No. All right. So once the image, talk about a swan song. So once the image is where I want it to be within the guides, then I just crop the edges to where my guidelines are for that wrap, so that I can create my mock lifestyle image for my website. Because again, you only see this part of the image from the front. Okay? So now that I have that cropped, I'm going to duplicate that layer. And this time I'm going to throw it onto what's called my animal horizontal template. And send it on its way. And then so I don't save my template cropped like this, I'm just going to Control Z right away, or Command Z because I'm on a Mac, but I've been a Mac user for years and I swear I use PC terms, so you know what I mean, though. It's fine. But I'm just going to undo that crop, delete the image so that it's back to just being my template. I'm going to save. I'm going to close the 8x10. Okay? So now I'm going to go to that lifestyle image I have. And oh my gosh, it's so big. Shrink that down. Shrink that down. If you can hear the jet, I apologize. I live near a Space Force base because I'm cooler than an Air Force base, I guess. I don't know why it's called a Space Force base. I have no idea. Alright, so this was my 8x10. Be right back. Okay, no problem, Melon. So this was my 8x10 image. So this is going to be what I use for the 16x20 and 8x10 on my template. So I'm going to resize it down to that 16x20. And if you notice, I already have images on here. Those are kind of like, I just put the image over those so I can ensure that all of my product images are consistent with their placements. And then I have an outer glow effect on these 3 images, so I'm just going to, I know you can't see it because it's like behind my head, but I'm just going to drag that layer effect to the one with the swan image, and I'm going to delete that image that was behind the swan. So no more baby bison behind that one. And then for the 8x10, I'm just going to duplicate this layer, move it over to where the 8x10 is, size it properly, and then delete the previous image. Okay. So now my 8x10 and my 16x20 are on my lifestyle. And lifestyle, by the way, if you're wondering what the hell that means, that's just like a room, like a typical room from like a regular person's life. So like this is a picture of a living room, so it's like a lifestyle image. That's all that means. Nothing fancy. Alright, going to my 24x36 template, you'll see it is smaller. That's okay, because I shoot in 300 ppi or DPI. It looked like Photoshop like flashed out there for a second, but it looks like we're back. So I'm not going to lose any of that clarity when I go up just this little bit here. Now, if I were like going billboard size, then it'd probably be an issue. But for this, it's not a problem. And again, I have my guidelines here, so I'm just going to crop to those guidelines. Enter. I'm going to duplicate my cropped image, throw it on that lifestyle image, and I don't think you guys see it. So I get a paste profile mismatch window that pops up, and it's basically telling me that I'm going from an sRGB file to an Adobe RGB file. That's fine. They're both RGB files. It's not a big deal. If I was going from RGB to CMYK or the other way around, those are different color profiles, and you'd be able to tell the difference. Probably not so much on a black and white image, but definitely on a color. Alright, going back to my template. Oh my gosh, it's so big. Alright, shrink, zoom, resize. Boom. I'm going to take those layer, that outer glow effect I have, and throw it on the swan layer. Delete the baby bison image. And now it's just the swans. Okay? I'm going to save this. I know you guys can't see the save window, at least I don't think you can. So I apologize, it just stays on Photoshop. And I think it's because I just have it like to share to that specific window and not like a general share screen. But honestly, sharing like my whole screen kind of scares me because I'm like, what if you see something that I don't necessarily want you to see? Because I'm so private of a person. Yeah. No. Okay. I have this image titled as preening since the swan is preening itself. I know. I'm so creative. You have no idea. Alright, preening. I'm saving that as a JPEG so it can go on my website. Alright. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't revert my template for my 24x36. So let's do that before I forget and save it. So again, I'm going to undo the crap, delete the image, make it just a template again, save. Alright. And then, now that I have my image, I can add it to my website. So let's go do that. And you probably saw this before. I believe it flashed up before. So what you're looking at here are like, they're just like categories. It's how they're organized like on the website. But first I need to add it as an item. So I'm going to go to Site Items. If you use Weebly, this is Weebly. If you don't use Weebly, I'm sure other website builders work similarly. Like if you're interested in building an online store for your merch, art, photography, whatever it may be. I find Weebly super easy to use. Again, I am not techie at all. And I think Weebly is easy to use. Alright, so I'm just going to open up an item. And because I'm a bum, I just duplicate the item. Screw making a new one. Less work. Okay. So I just duplicate the item. And then you'll see it says like copy on that item title. I just deleted it, but that's so like that. Seeing that copy there assures me that I am not editing an existing product, that it did actually duplicate the product. Alright, so then I just have to add the images in. So uno momento, por favor. As I do that. Okay, here's one. Loading in the lifestyle. Bada bing, bada boom. Products. Harini. Loading in the swan image. There it goes. Okay. And then I gotta make sure that I adjust the title on this. Adjust the title and product description. Ooh, and we have to pick a quote, guys. Yeah, let me, only because I don't know what it will pull up. Let me go back to the other window. Let's see here. Okay, this spreadsheet is a spreadsheet of quotes that I pull from for my photography. So like in this instance, the quote will just be like in the product description. But if I ever add that image to like my inspirations line, so like I have this line of photographs called my inspirations line that have like quotes on the image. So if I were to ever add the swan image to that, whatever quote I pick would be the one that goes on that image. Sometimes, like, I don't like the image with a quote on it, so it never gets added to inspirations. But if I do, then I do it, because why not? So let's see here. So this is like a very brief glimpse into my spreadsheet life. So the quote is in column A, the person who said the quote is in column B, and then the title of the photograph that the quote is associated with or on, if it's in the inspirations collection, is in column C. So now I just have to pick a quote. So if you see one that you think works for the swan, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to read through these. So the ones in yellow are ones that we can use for the swan because they are not used for another image at this time. So we could do it is best to win without fighting, because swans are supposedly aggressive. Or we could do, let's see here, probably not the wheel one. I kind of want to save that for like an image with a wheel. I know, super straightforward. Same thing with the truck. Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. Maybe. Probably should not have a quote about a feast on a picture of a swan. Be persisting in your path, though you forfeit the little, you gain the great. That's a good one. Let's see here. Gratitude is a fruit of great cultivation. Meh. Would probably work better on like an actual image of fruit. I know like that's super literal, but people like literal. Let's see here. The most real of all splendors are not in outward things, they are within us. I like that one. Patience is a necessary ingredient of genius. I'm kind of feeling that one. Because, like, can you imagine having to preen your own feathers and, like, how long that would take? Hashtag no thank you. Seize the day, put no trust in the morrow. Take nothing on its looks, take everything on evidence. Evidence, Rebecca. Evidence. There's no better rule. Let's see here. You know what? I was going to say there's no counting for human beings by Mark Twain. Because, like, I was irresponsible and got close to the swan, but no one really knows that without me telling the story, so that one makes sense. Let's see here. Let's see here. Ignorance never settles a question. It is sweet to let the mind unbend an occasion. Success has many friends. Meh. To be strong is to be happy. Meh. Oh, well, swans are normally like a symbol of grace. So beauty without grace is a violet without smell. Again, my brain is like, I think that would work better on a picture of a violet. Maybe I'm just being too, like, narrow-minded. You know what? How about this one? Since he's preening his own feathers, or her, I don't know. I don't know. Self-help is the best help by Asa. Alright, let's do that one. Self-help is the best help. Asa. Now I'm going to go back to my sheet. Put preening next to this one. So that I know that I used it and it doesn't appear on another picture. Okay. That should auto-save. And then I don't even know why that tab is open. Goodbye, tab. Alright, so then I have a descriptor here. So photographed is a swan. Swan located at the Palace of the Fine Arts in San Francisco, California, United States. Now the location, I know I said this last time, but I like having these specific locations because anytime I view another photographer's work, I want to know like exactly where they were standing when they took said picture. So we're gonna figure out where I was waddling like a duck to get this picture of a look at all these searches. You can tell what I was doing today. Palace of the Fine Arts, Google Earth. I guess I can just go to earth.google. Leave me here, no stuff. There was a lot of heavy discussions happening today on the whole Hogwarts Legacy game coming out. So if you're wondering why I was searching stuff, that's why. And then like I had like this moment of panic where I was like, did Tolkien ever say anything controversial? But it seems like he's mostly in the clear. Mostly. Not quite 100%. Alright, Google Earth. Palace of the Fine Arts. By the way, I didn't go inside the building. I probably should have while I was there. But for some reason, I got distracted by this big bird. It's fine. Alright, so Google Earth, Palace of the Fine Arts. So I know that I walked... Oh my gosh, stop spinning. So I know my parents like parked over on the corner and I walked around the whole thing. And I know I took the picture of the swan over here. Now, let's see here. Spin. If you have motion sickness, I'm sorry, don't look right now. The swan was right here, and I was right there. Alright, so that is, I'm just going to write this. No, I don't need to write it down. I can do this. 37, 48, 12. 37, 48, 12. 37, 48, 12. Okay. You spin my head right round. Yeah, I do. 122, 26, 54. 122. Oh my god, I already forgot it. 122, 26, 54. 122, 26, 54. Okay. Make that hidden, not unavailable. And then just adjust the link down here. And save. Okay. So now the product exists on the website. So again, if you're using Weebly, if it's hidden, that means the product can be found if you have the exact link. If you don't have the exact link and you're just like looking on the website for this image, they won't be able to find it because it's hidden. There's a hide and seek joke in there somewhere. My brain is not finding it. Okay. Now, to go back to what my categories are. Bonk. So this will go into animals. So I'm going to make that shown in the storefront really quick so I can edit that page. And it's an avian. So let's make that one visible. But otherwise, I don't think it'll go in any other categories. A lot of the animal photographs typically only go in animals and then the type of animal it is. Pretty straightforward. So now, if I go to my web builder here, you'll see that it just says photographs, but that the animals and the avians are not shown in the menu. If I click over here on like the actual picture of it, I can't go and edit that page. It just doesn't work that way. So if I just refresh this editor page, I'm just going to click on I'll just click on photographs. How about that? So now it shows avians and animals because now it has loaded in. But the photographs page has all of the pictures I have added to my website, so I'm going to add it here first because for some reason I always tend to forget to add it to the main page. I don't know why. And we are going to add the swan photo. It's loading right now, so if you're wondering what the heck is happening, it's just loading into the website. No worries. It always just seems to be a little slow when I'm streaming. I'm sure there's a technical explanation that I do not know. Bandwidth? Is that the word? Maybe. Alright. And then I just want to make sure that the picture of the swan is linked to the product I made. So I'm going to click on the picture, click on link. Link. And then I'm going to type in the title of the image, which was preening. Click on preening canvas. And then, again, I feel so silly about this. I like these to be alphabetized. The titles are not on this page. So no one knows what the titles are of the pictures on this page. But because I am me, I like them to be alphabetized. Okay. Alright, so I know that's nursing bison. Okay. I know that is road trip. Or sorry, on the road. That's on the road. Then I have path in the garden. And I have prairie conversation. And then I have roots. So guess what? It goes after prairie conversation. Wow. Okay, publish. Again, why? I have no explanation for it. When I notice something is not in alphabetical order on my website, I get annoyed. I promise I don't have OCD. I'm just weird. At least I've never been diagnosed. Okay, avians, and I really don't think I have it. Avians, add the swan. No explanation is the best explanation. I'm just weird. I'm so sorry. Oop. Let me log back into my laptop over here. Okay. I feel like I need like a loading tune. Like do 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 do, or like the Jeopardy, like do 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 do. Alright, need to link this up. I think on this one you can actually see like the circles spinning. And I don't look like a crazy person that's just sitting here. Not swan, Rebecca. Preening. Yes, I do. You don't sell any products yet. Womp, womp, womp. It lies. Also, what is it with like newer movies? Why do the villains always whisper? Do you know how irritating that is to me? Like, why? Why are they always like, I am here to ruin your life? Like, why? I probably shouldn't whisper. I have no idea if you can hear that. Alright, and then this is floating on air. That's a gray J, so preening can stay right where it is. So then avians is done. Avian. Is there like a water that's close to like avian? Avian? Maybe. I don't know. But I swear there's a water. We now have proof that you're a villain. Why? Oh, because I whispered? I mean, I can be the villain. That's okay. Let's see here. Preening. I do have like this weird obsession with Maleficent and Elphaba. And like Maleficent is like the mistress of all evil and Elphaba is the Wicked Witch of the West. So I guess if anybody's gonna be the villain, it's gonna be me. I took all the seriousness out of that by going to that. Hashtag ruined. It's fine. Let's see. Stop that. Gotta link this. I feel like my hair is just doing its own thing, per usual. Preening. And by the way, you know if the link worked, if you use Weebly and you're using a gallery, you know the link worked because the little link is blue in this little menu if it actually linked to anything. So now I have to think of the alphabet. So that's Saving the Planet, that's Prairie Conversations, the preening goes there. Okay, publish. Now you sound like the character that's accused of a crime, and then everyone takes a good look at them and go, nah, he can't possibly do it, and then go. And then they go on about how I could totally be the villain. Shut up. I could totally be the villain. Maybe. I have only ever, so I played like a few tabletop games where like you're trying to figure out like who the killer is, like, or whatever. And I've only had to be the bad person, the villain, once. And I thought for sure everybody would figure out it was me at first. I won. I don't know how, because like I can't lie. I think I just pretty much avoided like answering any questions at all during like the whole game, and got away with it somehow. I don't know how. Alright, so after I add a product, I actually go to the website outside of the builder, and then I just click on it so I know it's in photographs. Okay, I've already checked all of these other images. So I know it's in photographs, so I'm going to scroll down. Look at these loading. This is sad on stream. I promise it's faster when I'm not streaming. Okay. So see how this messed up the images? The one of my lifestyle image is not here. So I need to go back and edit that product. So we're going to X that. We're going to reload in the lifestyle image. Not that one. Hold on. Please hold. There we go. One Fire, you know I can be the villain. Mwahaha. Ha. Ha. So that's fun. So you know how like your computer will warn you 50 million times that you need to do an update, and then if you're like me, you ignore it 50 million times, and then the computer is like, I'm sick of your shit, I'm just updating? That's what just happened. Thankfully, it was a very quick update. Otherwise, I probably would have just been like, "Oh, thanks for coming by, everyone. Have a nice day." But, no, I was just like, are ya kidding me right now? So if you're still here, thank you for still being here. If not, I totally understand. Because that was just weird. Okay, let me see. I have to reopen my windows because things happened. Things we will not talk about. We can talk about them. That's fine. It happens. Alright, let me... Hap crappins. Hap crappins. It's true. Can I have that on a shirt, please? That would be great. Okay. Now this will be fun, because this probably won't work. No, it won't. Hold on. Look at that. You see a big blank line. Un momento, por favor. Voila. Okay. So we were just double checking everything when my computer was like, screw you, you've ignored my warnings 50 times, we're going to restart. So we were in photographs, checking. Oh, hey, you're back. I was so confused. No, so so my computer decided to update, because I ignore all of the update warnings, and then eventually Macs are like, screw you, we're updating. So I was a bad noodle, and I ignored my computer telling me that it needed to update, and then it just took control. Okay, so now that looks correct under photographs. So now I'm going to go to animals. You know what? Hold on. I just realized that my phone didn't update. So I don't know if you're looking at what I'm looking at. You are. Okay. Okay, so this little hype popcorn, this little hype squirrel. So like there's multiple little hype squirrels. But every time I see the hype squirrel, I think of Chespin Lover. And so in my head, I just know it as the Chespin squirrel. Alright, checking animals, click on preening. Okay. Again, that looks correct. So now that I fixed the item itself, this page will always look correct. I'm just making sure that, you know, like the links are going to where I want the links to go. And every time I say link, I just think of Legend of Zelda. Okay. All right, so those links are all set on where I want them to go. All right, now we're back to the chatting screen. Well, a lot has happened today, I feel like, as like a noob streamer. This is only my second stream ever. Now you have to just figure out a way to, every time somebody clicks on something that does that hi-ya sound. Hi-ya sound. The hoo-ya sound? Can I get a hoo-ya? That one? Otherwise, when Tessa raided, there was a gif of Willow coming through the doggy door, and it was like, hi! I'm not sure if that's... Oh, the link attack sound. So I'm trying to figure out... On my website, I think Nintendo might frown upon that. That would be kind of funny, though. Can you imagine, though, how annoying that would be? Like, going through a website, and every time you click on something, it's like, hiya! I mean, like, I would find it amusing, because, like, I have a bit of prankster in me, but, like, I think after clicking on something 5 times, it would get old really fast. But I like that idea. But no, so today I did a lesson. We added another product to my website. I got spammed. I got a spam person in here that I had to ban. I got to use my ban hammer. And my stream crashed because, well, it didn't really crash. My computer decided to update, which essentially crashed everything on my computer because it restarted everything. So I feel like I got like a lot of things under my belt today. I realized, you guys, in my first stream, the dogs were all up in my lap like the whole time. And I feel like you guys haven't really gotten to see them a lot today. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna look at them. One is missing. Willow's not in here. Willow's probably being an independent little lady and laying out in the front room. But these are two of my three dogs. The Golden Retriever Sequoia. See if I can get this pointing down. And this is Aspen. One fire shot. Hi! Hi! And Tessa coming in with the Pika hearts. And the Tessa shiny emotes. Like I said, the first stream, they were like here and climbing into my lap constantly. So there was like a lot of dog appearances on this stream. I feel like I'm like stealing a trademark of Goonies because Goonie B, who is in this chat, let me see here. He has these cat appearances that happen on his stream that you have to pay for. That's sarcastic shade, by the way. But like you pay like the channel point redemptions or whatever for it. Why isn't that not working on my phone? And I'm like, I can't do that because the dogs are just there, like all the time. Wow, it really closed everything when it refreshed. Bananas well spent. They are. If I'm going to spend all of my banana points in Goonies stream, it's going to be on cat appearances. You can do the bunnies? I could do the bunnies. That's not a bad idea. So I have, besides the three dogs, I have two bunnies. One is like probably the size you'd expect a bunny to be. And their name is Midna. So Midna legitimately has both male-female parts. So I have determined that Midna's pronouns are they, them. So Midna is like probably what you'd consider normal size in a bunny. And then I have Tetra, who's just like a freaking beast. So here, there's a shout out for Goonie. He's the one that I keep referring to with the cat appearance there. If you guys want to see a bunny, I can go grab one. I'll do it for free since I can't have channel points yet because I'm a noobaroo. But if you want to see a bunny, I can go get a bunny. Just let me know, and I'll go grab one. Because, like I said, you can see the dogs, like, anytime you want to. Besides Willow, if she decides to sit out there and be alone. Willow! Yeah, see, she's just going to ignore me. She's having a good nap. Let's see here. But, alright. Yeah, let me know if you want to see a bunny. I'll be happy to grab a bunny. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much all I had planned for today, was to go over, and wow, that northern accent came out right there, was to go over Aperture settings, and then just to add another product to my photography site. The reason I like to add a product to my photography site on stream, because I did it last time as well, was one, I could demonstrate an actual photograph that I have taken out on photo adventures that demonstrate like what we were talking about today. So like I was able to like point out like the aperture settings and how you know that I used a smaller aperture on the swan photo because I had a narrower field of focus. And just in case, like, if there's anybody out there who is like afraid to take like that first step in creating their online store. Like I want to show people like how relatively easy it is to do. Like we added a product in less than an hour. Like, and when I'm not streaming, it takes me less than 20 minutes because then my browser works so much faster. And I'm not trying to like take my time to like talk through stuff. I'm just like ping, 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 pew, and away it goes. But yeah, so like if you ever have any questions regarding starting an online store, I use Weebly. I know there's a lot of programs out there. I'm sure there's probably even a program out there that's better for me to be using than Weebly, but I've been using Weebly since 2014. So, like, I'm probably not changing that at this point. Can we get a sound with the ping, 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 pew? That. I can try. I've made GIFs now, and I know how to attach sound to GIFs, so I imagine if I just make an audio of my ping, 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 pew, that I can do that. All of this, like, stuff is, like, new to me, so I'm always, like, I feel like such, like, an old school person because I don't know, like, how to do anything, but I'm figuring it out. A little bit at a time. But let me see here. I'm gonna go one fire. Do you want to see a bunny? And which one do you want to see if you want to see a bunny? The black one or the white one? I don't know if you remember their names, so I'm just gonna say the black one or the white one. So I've had the big one. The big one. All right, I got you. I'll be right back. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Here is the big one. Here is Tetra. Yeah. And so Tetra, I was told that she was a Polish lop. Okay, which I don't think is a thing. Like, I don't know all bunny breeds, but I know, like, Holland lops are a thing. I know American lops are a thing, but I've never heard of a Polish lop. And so lop bunnies, their ears don't stick up like this. They're the ones with the ears that are like this on the sides of their heads. So I knew she wasn't a lop, okay? But I just didn't care. I did not care because I just loved her. Big ears. But I believe Tetra is a Californian mixed with a New Zealand. So a New Zealand, I might have these mixed up. Hold on, let me Google it really quick to make sure I'm not giving out false information. One of them is the all white with the pink eyes, and one of them has like a brown to black nose and ears. So one second. Okay, so the California rabbit is one that has black ears and a black nose. And then a New Zealand rabbit is solid white with the pink eyes. And I think Tetra's a mix of those two, and that's why her ears and her nose are gray instead of like the dark brown black color. Both of those breeds of rabbits are meat rabbits, unfortunately, which is why she's so big. because she was bred to be big, which is okay. Yeah, it's okay, Tetra. But I've had bunnies. So Tetra's my 4th bunny, and Minna is my 5th bunny. So when I was 19, I got my first bunny, and his name was Zeldin. And Zeldin desperately needed a girlfriend. So then I got Nehru. Unfortunately, Zeldin died at a young age. Nehru lived to be, and by the way, like the average lifespan for bunnies can range, for small bunnies, can range anywhere from like 8 years to 12 typically. Zeldin died when he was 3. And then Nehru lived till she was 14. So Nehru lived a long time, and I got Zeldin off of some farm in Wisconsin, and I got Nehru from the animal shelter, and Nehru came to me with all sorts of these health issues, so I really didn't think that she would live like a long life, but she lived a really long life. And then after Zeldin died, I got Farron. And unfortunately, Farron died young as well. So now I have like this thing where I don't really want to get male rabbits because they seem to die younger on me for some reason. And then I got Tetra. And Tetra is now, let me do math, which I suck at. Tetra is going to be 6 this year. So she's middle-aged now. Yeah. And then Minna is 5. Minna is the other bunny that's in the other room. If you've noticed a theme with the names of the bunnies, welcome on in, my fellow nerds, because they are all named after Legend of Zelda characters, for sure. Yeah, if you've never had a pet rabbit, they are a lot of work, but they're so cute. They really are. And they're good cuddlers. Like, look at her. She's so good. Yeah. Are you being a good bun-bun? Are you being a good bun-bun? So my bunnies have this big cage in the other room. And I have, like, this play tunnel coming off of it that they can run through and go back into their cage and stuff. And then One Fire actually helped me out last summer. I got them, like, sorry, I have, like, bunny hair on my nose. So, you know, like those, yes, Willow? You know those, like, houses that you get, Willow, stay out of there, that you get for, like, kids, like, out in the yard, like, little playhouses? I got one of those for my bunnies so that they have somewhere that they'll be safe outside. So 1, it contains them, right, because the house has walls. 2, a bird can't come down and take them because it has a roof. And honestly, it's just cute. But yeah, so that's out in the backyard. It's too cold for them to be out there during the winter and stuff. So it's their summer home. Yeah. It's their summer home. But yeah, this is Tetra. You got dirty feet, Tetch. Look at your feet. Look how big your feet are. Look at that. Yeah. But yeah, both of my bunnies have been well handled, so like you can hold them. The only thing you have to be careful about with Tetra in particular, so bunnies that have this pink eye, like the pink colored eye, like the albino eye, they can't see very well. So if you surprise them, then she might try to defend herself, and that's not her fault. No. And also you get to listen to my baby voice when I talk to my bunnies. Yeah. Squishy face. Squishy face. Alright. Alright, I am going to go put her back, and I think I'm going to sign off for the day. But thank you guys so much for coming in and listening to me babble on about Aperture and online website building stuff. Again, I plan on downloading this stream video and having a vlog link on my website. So if you need to reference this again, you absolutely can. Otherwise, just enjoy the live videos, I guess, as I come live. Again, I am streaming on Tuesdays from 3 to 5, Thursdays from 3 to 5, and then Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesdays will be an educational kind of stream. Thursdays will be like talking about adventure spots, like places to visit, and then Fridays will be co-working streams. All right. So I hope to see you guys on Thursday. Again, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. But thank you again so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I feel like I got a lot accomplished. And I got my first spam message and my first stream breakdown. So I think it was a big day. It was a big day. All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.